Right guys, so today we're going to be looking at the Renegade Krome from Badger Airbrush Company. Beautiful piece of kit. Basically I'm just going to quickly dismantle it, show you what the mechanics look like and how simple they are really. And that's pretty much it. So without further ado, remove the rubber cap that's pretty much common within the Badger airbrush range. As you can see, a lovely deep cup. Super smooth mechanics there, gotta say guys, super smooth. So what we're going to start with first is removing the back end, and the back end consists of that section, and you can wind out the restrictor here for the trigger. As you can see, it's just in two simple pieces, no problems there. You can remove this section here and alter it via a grub screw with the little markings there just for future reference. So okay, so the first thing we're going to do, remove the needle by unscrewing this locking nut here. Just sliding the needle straight out, no problems there. I'm going to remove the locking nut. I'm going to also move over to the front now, remove the front cone, place that there, and you will find that the nib will drop straight out. It's not fixed in any way. It's like it seats into a collet quite neatly, and there's no problems at all. Next, I'm going to remove this tension spring. I'll explain in better detail in a moment what that does. I'll put that there. Slide out the spring. Lift out the trigger, and the little spring section that goes in there as well. That will come out quite easily. To make the job easier, I'm going to remove this section. This just screws out. It's quite a sizable one, so bear with me guys. There we go. And then you've got this section here. As you can see, it's got a flat ground onto it and will only go in a certain way. So I'm going to take that out as well. Place them there. And then of course you got the spring section there, and then that's pretty much it guys. That's about as much as that you would want to dismantle this baby. One of the things I really love about this is this plastic grip here that really helps when holding your airbrush and painting. I think it's a great idea. This section here is just an adapter for my current air compressor setup. So there you go. Not a lot to it, is there guys? No fear involved at all. Beautifully simple. So if I can pick it up, I'm going to place the nib back in the collet. Epic fail. And screw this section back on. There we go. Only finger tight, that's all you need to do guys. Next up, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to reassemble this rear section. So like I say, flat to flat in there. Goes in quite simply. Okay, and then I'm going to slide the spring back in the chamber there, and I'm going to put the tension screw back on because I find it easier for assembly. And as you can see, you've got like a tension effect there now, very springy. In fact, so springy I actually nearly lost it then. And I'm just going to screw a bit of that back on. Only part of the way, because it helps with the next stage, which is probably the most fiddliest part in my opinion. As you're screwing that in, as you can see, you can keep pulling back, making sure it's free. It will be spring loaded. There we go. I'm going to take it straight in. That's it, it's stopped there, so you don't need to force it guys. Just go in as much until it's got a natural stop. There you go. Now the next bit, which is a little bit fiddly, there is no two ways about it, is placing in this bracket. You have to slide it in on the side. If you pull back on this section here, making sure that you're in the flat, push it in and turn it to the one side. Bear with me guys, it is tricky. There you go. And then locate the trigger gently. you will find it, because as you push down, as you see, it's up and down on the spring, and if you release that other section, then it just pushes down on that, no problem, as you can see. I'm going to give that a little bit more tension. I'll explain that in greater detail in a moment. Bring the needle locking nut back on. Get your needle very carefully, slide it in, pull back on the trigger a little bit so you don't get any interference, and push it all the way through till it hits home, and then release and then lock it up. So what you've done now is you've put that back in, and as you can see, you've got your super smooth action once again. Now this nut here, what that does is alters the tension to this trigger. I personally like it fairly loose, so when I pull back there's very little resistance on the trigger. Other people might like a lot of tension. If that's the case, you can screw further in and it'll be a lot more of a rigid feel to it. But nonetheless, brilliant. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just slide back in this section, which I'll explain to you in a moment what it does. There we go. And put the rear section back on. And that's as much as there is to it, guys. So I've explained the tension on the trigger here. This section basically is the paint limiter. As you can see, depending on how far back you pull the trigger is how much paint will come out, and you can restrict that as much as you like. As you can see, I'm going to take it straight back. That's as much as it's going to allow, but if you don't want to run the risk of releasing too much paint at any one time, you can screw it in using the gauge on the end here if you wish, and as you can see, it will only come back so far. So as you see, guys, there is very little to worry about regarding this airbrush. It has super smooth action on the mechanics, as I've stated, and I've got to say it is a fantastic all-rounder airbrush, guys. My version is 0.3 and it works a dream. It's a lovely airbrush, definitely well worth investing in, and probably one of the mainstay tools of my equipment I use for airbrushing. So I hope that allayed a few fears for you guys. Fantastic airbrush. Don't forget to check out the links below, and I hope it was a help. Cheers for watching. Don't forget to comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.